think we're gonna try to take Daniel down soon, because he lettered in football, he lettered, and I think they're gonna letter him in basketball more than the other team, because he's basically like their manager, going to all the games, he's running the clock, he's doing all the steps. Anyway, did your kiddos get, did your older kiddos get? Well, they got Jenny.
She was very resourceful, I guess. I remember $600. She didn't know how much.
Things like this one was wrong. He's like, we got a chip on the dress. It's up to you.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm gonna do it. She's like, I'm gonna keep it on my dress.
Looks like everyone's here. It's 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The Planning Commission, January 20th, 2026 at 6:30 PM. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Better put my glasses on. Commissioner Huggins.
Present.
Commissioner DeVoynes.
Present.
Commissioner Bowman.
Present.
Commissioner Fatizzi, online. Yep, there, Joe. Well, I see his name.
Am I good? Can you hear me?
Okay,
Sorry.
present, online. Commissioner Jasper.
Present.
Commissioner Furnett, present. Commissioner Sexton.
I'm here.
Okay, we're all here. Consent agenda. We'll be looking at both October 21st and December 16th. Did everyone have a chance to look those over, and do we have any comments? Commissioner Fatizzi, anything?
No, I did look at it. However, I was not at the December meeting due to an interruption by my Sedro-Woolley wrestling team and a whole bunch of other kids that came on in. But I'm fine with the prior minutes myself. Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there's no comment, then can I get a motion to approve both October and December as written?
I make a motion to approve both of the meeting minutes as written.
Commissioner Jasper's first.
I second that.
Commissioner Bowman second on that. All in favor of approving the meeting, October 21st and December 16th minutes as written, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous as written. General public comments at 6:32. Okay. Here we go. Please keep comments to 3 minutes or less because state law prohibits the use of city facilities for the purpose of supporting or opposing a campaign or ballot proposition. We respectfully request that public comment not make reference to such matters. Written comments will be accepted by letter or via email at nmcgowan@cedrowoolley.gov. Attention public comment until 4:30 p.m. the day of the meeting.
Staff did not receive any written comments.
And there doesn't appear to be anyone here, so general public comments open and is closed now at 6:33. Public hearings not happening. Unfinished business draft 2025 comprehensive plan periodic update recommendations.
Good evening, Tom Glover, Community Development Director. So you have before you the comprehensive plan, and as you can see, the largest binder clip that we have barely fits around it now, that we have all the appendices included in it as well. So we had, this is the 9th version of the plan. I was kind of hoping we might stick with the version 8 so we could say we had a V8, but we did have a V8, but we no longer do. Anyway, so this is version 9. It has all the changes made up to date, including comments that were made at our meeting in December and additional staff comments since then. We had our public hearing on December 16th, and this next step is a matter of reviewing the findings of fact and conclusion and recommendation. So you have here in your packet, the first part is a description of each of the chapters, and then a brief summary of what's new this year, focusing mostly on that climate element. There's quite a description there. And then following that are 24 findings of fact. And then finally, if you're okay with everything through in the plan as presented here, the findings of fact memo, we would recommend that you consider a recommendation to City Council to approve this draft. Once that step is completed, we'll send the comprehensive plan off to the Department of Commerce for to start its 60-day review period. We'll also send it to other state agencies that have jurisdictions, such as the State Department of Transportation and, I don't know, Ecology and so forth. And then when we get those comments back, we will, if there are comments, we'll address them. We'll take those comments to City Council. We may, in fact, consider a joint meeting of Planning Commission and City Council so you all can know what those comments, what that feedback was from the state agencies. And you can hear it all at once instead of breaking it out in 2 different meetings. And then hopefully they won't be too serious and they'll say good job, and we can then present an ordinance for approval to City Council. So I think that is it in a nutshell. Anybody else have any staff? Do you guys have any additional comments? Did everybody have a chance to receive it in your email and so forth? Okay, good. Quite a hefty document. So with that, I would open it up to discussion, comments, questions, anything on the plan itself, anything about the summary memo here or the findings of fact.
Anyone?
May I? I just wanted to say thank you. I had given the suggestion last meeting about the police portion and restructuring it, and I think you guys did such a wonderful job rewriting that, so thank you.
Oh, okay, good, great, thank you.
No comments at this time. Yeah.
I think I have one right here. I raised my hand.
Yeah, hi, Joe.
So first and foremost, thank you. We don't hear that word enough. But this was a full year. This wasn't just like we just came up with this stuff. Okay? This was, we are in the weeds. And I will say that our consulting firm, my city, my staff, and our planning commissioners, yeah, we went above and beyond of the fact that we just wanted to get this right. And I believe we got it right. And by the way, my artwork is absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to sit back that I'll be the first one to not only recognize the approval of this, but yes, we spent not only an incredible amount of time on things, I believe we got it right. And 10-year comprehensive plans are a really big deal. And if anything, if you could ever see the future of anything, the comprehensive plan would be it. So anyway, again, thank you, everyone. I'm done.
Thanks, Commissioner Fatisi. I second that.
Thank you, guys. I just had one question. Is page 277 left intentionally blank in the appendices? Let me check if it's 277 of the document. Yeah, so 277 of the packet. It was just a blank page right after the land capacity analysis.
I have to go back and take a look.
You know, I've seen a lot of blank pages in my time, and I don't think that was intentional. It could have been something that, let staff comment on that, right? And I can't get to page 277 that fast myself.
Do you know which page of the plan that is?
277.
Yeah, 277 of the,
Because I have a 277, it's got stuff on it.
I believe in the packet it'd be
oh,
254.
254 in
Oh,
the
okay.
packet. Yeah, sorry, 277 in the whole attachment.
Yes, because it, oh yeah, because there's page 253, which is the, excuse me, the table of contents. Excuse me, I'm trying to block a sneeze. Which is the table of contents for the land capacity analysis, and then, yeah, it skips a page and goes to
Okay.
the overview, yeah.
I also wanted just to note that it's nice to see all the appendices together. The adequate provisions analysis was very informative, and it provides actionable items for the code changes, future code changes, and I appreciated like kind of seeing thoughts on how that was going to get laid out. But overall, I think you guys have done a great job.
Thank you. I do have to thank my staff and the Facet team. They've worked really hard on this. I asked Ashton to come up with a number of meetings that we've been talking about this at Planning Commission, and it was 19 meetings that we had on this. And of those, 3 were joint meetings with the City Council. So that doesn't include tonight, so now we're up to 20, right? Yeah.
Commissioner DeVoyne?
An invested in town mine. All been done for 2 years, and he gave all details about the process. Quite impressive to me.
Yeah. I just have a couple minor things. I left my notes at home, so I'm scrambling to remember what they were. On your summary, it says January 20th, 2025. Should that say 26? Not that it matters, but that
It
would-
should. Because we are in 2026. Oh, yep, on the first page. Oh, gosh.
And it was supposed to be 2025.
Oh, there we are. Yeah, no, we're not a year behind. You're right. Should say, I'll make that correction.
Okay. And then on the next page after that, I got a little bit confused when you were talking about the number of people employed in Sedro-Woolley. Projection, 2025, should that read 2045? That's the first end of the first paragraph on the next page.
I said 2046.
Or 2046?
Yeah, I kept jumping between 45 and 46.
I mean, it's, right now it says 2025, that's,
I know.
yeah.
I'll make that correction.
Okay, 2046, okay.
This is the 10-year plan, though, right?
What's
We
that?
should just be looking
20.
at 10 years, right?
20 year. It's a update that's required every 10 years, but looking out 20 years.
Okay.
I'll be dead in 20 years.
And then on page 222 of the document, it's chapter 8 under employment. It would be either 245 of the PDF or 222 of the document.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
222.
That one right there. See, it says, this is where I caught that number there, it says target for 2045 is 7,040 employment. If you could scroll down just a little, Woody. Right there, perfect. It says, employment at 2022 is 4,640, and then we want to go to 7,040. That's 2,400, and I don't know why we used the number 2,399. Maybe that has something to do with something, but I thought it'd be a lot easier to read if it said 2,400.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to keep the numbers consistent.
Okay, because back to page 2 where it says 2025, and you're going to change it, because right after that it says 2,399. So if you're going to change, you
Oh,
can
I
either
see.
leave them both 2,399 or change them both to 2,400.
I gotcha, yeah. I'll double check with Facet on that. I'll circle these numbers and give them a call tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then, I can't remember the page, I wrote it down, but it has to do, there's a spreadsheet showing all the businesses. It's probably like about 5 or 10 pages down from this one. I double-checked those businesses, and I think there's about 8 or 9 listed, and 4 of them I know are long gone. And I was just wondering if we should update it, if we can get to that page here. I might be able to find it myself.
I know that's in there. We were looking at that, and I think we did try to update it.
That one right there, yeah.
Check with them and see where.
Thermacor moved out 16 years ago to Chehalis. Fathom Yachts was out of business in 2014. Truss Engineering was out of business in 2016, and Seven Sisters hasn't renewed their license since about 2017 is what I read in the.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to put asterisk next to them or
I did.
change it to something different, but
Yep, I'll take a look at that. Thank you.
maybe there's more pertinent businesses that are up and coming rather than outgoing.
Yeah,
long
good
gone.
point.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I can remember.
Those are good. Thank you.
So at this point, we've spent a tremendous amount of great time on our comprehensive plan. Is this the time that we shall make a motion to recommend that this comprehensive plan be approved based upon the, excuse me, I'm sorry, the findings of fact that was presented by staff? Or do we want any more further discussion?
You could make a motion to recommend approval by city council with the changes that we highlighted in the findings of fact and in the plan itself.
Thank you. So I am making a motion that based on the findings of fact and testimonies received by the Planning Commission, the Planning Commission recommends that the City Council approve the updated draft comprehensive plan and land use map.
With corrections noted.
I'm just reading it straight up what you guys sent me.
Yep, perfect.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the agenda as written with the changes we brought up to the city council. Let's see, Commissioner Fatizzi presented the motion with a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Sexton seconds that motion. All in favor of approving the, what's the official term?
Recommending approval.
Comprehensive Plan V9 as written with the recommended changes. Those in favor of sending it off to be approved by City Council, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Looks like it's unanimous.
Thank you. I'll make those corrections to the findings of fact, Joe, Chairman, and I will call you when they're ready and have you sign that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so
One down.
unfinished business is complete at 6:48. New business, proposed amendments to Title 15 and Chapters 12.32 and 17.100 Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code to add address and street name standards.
Okay, so we've been in the comprehensive plan mode for the last 6 months, and this was one of the code updates that we believe we can process without City Council's adoption of the comprehensive plan, because this doesn't interfere with the comprehensive plan in any way. But essentially, this proposal to create a street naming and an addressing code or chapter in our municipal code came in October 2024. It's been on the back burner since the comprehensive plan, and it stemmed from two different things. One was from the addressing portion of it. As we were going through the ADU code, we came across the addressing section in that ADU code and realized that calling your ADUs B and not having an A for single-family residence is a little weird. And so we consulted our city attorney as well as the address authority for the county, and they both recommended that we codify some addressing standards into Title 15. And then the second portion of this came from street naming. Recently, about 6 months ago, we had a proposed development come through, and we ultimately had to deny their street name due to difficulty with pronunciation. And our city attorney said, well, you know, with the pronunciation, that's public safety, but you really need to have some street naming guidelines in your code for future development. And so both of those aspects, addressing and street naming, have been combined into one chapter, 1524, which 1524 is also in the Skagit County Code as addressing and street naming. So we're matching what the county is doing. And that's largely where the layout of this code update comes from. It's broken up into sections following what Skagit County did. That way, you know, future addressing authorities can refer to both codes and not get too confused when looking at either one of them. And what this does is, a lot of what's in here right now is currently how we process address updates when we go through development, or if somebody realizes that they were addressed wrong, or for whatever reason an address change comes through. Community development takes it in. We request approval from the fire department and the 911 center. Once planning, 911, and fire have all approved it, then we send it out to a list of all the agencies that need an address, and that's in the code. So the post office, utilities, the police department, all of those agencies. And right now we're basing addressing and street naming off of a section in the Public Works Department standards, which is a little outdated too, and there's not much information. For example, it says street names shall be determined by the planning department, and that is very vague and leaves it up to interpretation. And so we spoke with the engineering department. They are planning a larger update for the Public Works Department standards later down the line. And so they are going to update their addressing code to, say, refer to the municipal code. And so we want to get addressing and street naming into the municipal code. And so Public Works will handle their policies, and we'll handle the municipal code side of things. And so the content of the code here, some of the things that we currently have on code is getting pulled over into this new code. So for example, we require all buildings in the city to have an address and an address sign. That's getting pulled from 1504, which is just our building code, to the addressing code. We're also going to repeal an ordinance from 1915, which was street naming, and it says that it's the police chief's responsibility to put signs up for streets in Sedro-Woolley. And I don't think the police department wants to handle that responsibility, so we'll have Public Works take care of that. Another thing that is being retained from the previous code is building owners still have the option of obtaining their own reflective address sign from a vendor. Most building owners like to buy their address sign from the city. That way they know that it's done right, but people still have the option to go get their own sign if they choose. Another aspect of this code update is back in the 90s and the 2000s, the planning staff and engineering staff undertook a city-wide process to both rename and re-address structures in the city. So this is codifying what they changed back in the 90s and 2000s, making sure that we don't have any non-conforming addresses with this code update. And so, for example, some people will remember it used to be Central Avenue, Ball Avenue, Haynes Avenue. Those are now streets now because of what staff did back in the 90s and 2000s. I've also attached the current Sedro-Woolley addressing grid and the proposed Sedro-Woolley addressing grid. You'll notice in the center of town within city limits, the address grid stays the same, so nobody is going to be changing addresses in town. Any property outside of city limits right now is addressed by the county, because the county still has jurisdiction over all of their permits and all of that. But what the addresses do or what the address grid does as the city slowly annexes out into the hills up north, and if for whatever reason we begin annexing out east and west, this address grid will allow for additional addresses to be added to the grid. Because right now in the northeast sort of section of town, thank you, Woody, above that teal triangle, we call it the pie, it is really difficult to throw addresses up there because of the curves of the dividing lines bend towards each other. So this address grid, the new proposed one, corrects that bend of the dividing lines so that it's more of a north-south dividing line and an east-west dividing line. And so that is, yes, thank you, Woody. It also follows the highway for the northwest dividing, or the north-south dividing line, which is what we do right now. And then for the east-west dividing line, it follows the railroad tracks, which is what we are doing right now. And so that is all codified in the baselines for addressing. It's all of that meets and bounds and section lines, legal description, jargon that's in 1524-020. That's basically describing this map here. And so I just wanted to, I am proposing one additional section that would be new, would be a new concept here in Sedro-Woolley. And that is community petition for street naming, 1524-045. If all of the property owners on a property decide that they want to rename their street and all of them agree, I don't think city policy should get in the way for that. So this outlines a path for a community-initiated street name change, and it follows a procedure that Port Townsend does. It's something that they do out there. They have forms for it, and it's something that I think would take minimal staff. It would probably only take one person. The address authority could handle it because we're not expecting too many street name changes here in the future. But ultimately what this code amendment does is it codifies our process for notifying essential facilities like fire, police, and the 911 center for address changes, whether that happens due to development or for correcting inconsistencies as we discover them as we continue to grow. And I just wanted to emphasize that there's no significant change here to how we currently process address changes or how we currently assign addresses other than the proposed community petition. That's all I have.
Does this mean we can get rid of one of the two Garden of Eden roads?
It does.
Also, is it true that all city addresses have 3 digits, or is that a myth?
That's unique to Sedro-Woolley. Some cities go down to 1 digit, but Sedro-Woolley requires 3.
3, okay.
Comments here?
We also allow 4-digit numbers when you're, more than 10 blocks away from the city center.
Oh, really? Okay.
Comment here?
Commissioner Fatisi has his hand up.
Yeah, I think that when it comes down to addressing and as we grow, I want more input from my fire department. I want more input from my police department. And I get it, it's on the table. However, these are the first responders that are going to show up to an incident that crazy stuff happens. It just does. So before we make any changes to anything, let's just put it, my own, observation of all this is, I would prefer a little bit more input from not only my director of operations, my fire department, and my police department before we start messing with addresses at any particular point, especially as we grow. We got to get the right people to the right place at the right time. Then I got to tell you, things could go south really, really fast. So we just need to be accurate on where somebody's going to. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. And that's a very good point. I just want to emphasize and reiterate that the current draft right now was reviewed by the fire chief and assistant fire chief, our building department, our planning department, our Public Works Director, our Public Works Streets Operator, the previous Address Authority, who's now an Executive Assistant at the city, as well as our City Engineer. And so the 911 Center did recommend that we adopt code reflecting this. I'd be more than happy to send them a copy of the draft that we have now, get their comments on it, and we can also get police's comments on it too.
I would love to see them in person, because this is a major, it's just in my observation, yeah, it's a big deal, and I'd love to see these guys in person, these women in person. It doesn't really kind of, at the end of the day, yeah, they have a major say in this. So having them be present, just to we're all just not gonna sign off on something. But I gotta tell you, I get more value out of things when people are actually in attendance to planning commission meetings before we put anything up to a mayor and council or anybody. That, yeah, we want to be very diligent in what we do, but also we want to be very specific as to what the intent is at the end of the day.
Hey, thanks, Commissioner Fatizzi. I got a question for you. I annexed into the city, I think it was 2017, if I recall. And Google Map, which everybody uses, or some kind of GPS system on their car, would be Siri or whatever. There was no way to find my new address at all for about 3 years, and then it was right for about several years, and now it's all wrong again. I was wondering, everybody that shows up tries to get to the house goes to Raleigh Lane and goes back and forth, and I see people going up and down the road all the time asking how to find an address. Is there a way that if any of this changes, that you can notify the people that run the mapping system so people can find addresses?
So pretty recently, probably about 6 months ago to a year ago, I got a contact at Google Maps, and we now have a portal with them to upload address changes. Unfortunately, Apple Maps doesn't have a similar function, but Google Maps we are able to send these notices to, and they generally are able to reflect them. Sometimes they need some clarification, but it seems to be helping.
Okay, that'd be great if that was part of the upgrade system to help people find places. Yep, go ahead.
I like the idea of community members having input on street name changes. For your consideration, there might be some costs that we're not seeing right now, not just the signage of the streets, but reprinting maps and such. And so maybe address who's going to be responsible for those costs, because I don't think the city should bear that cost. Just thinking back to when all the military bases were rechanging names, hearing how expensive that was. Obviously, we're not talking on that scale, but there are unforeseen costs with things like that. Thank you.
Good point.
I also had a question on the same thing, on the community petition. And I think you said it, but I wanted to reiterate. Is it that it's by unanimous consent, or is it by majority consent, or how is it determined that the name is going to be changed? And then I know it obviously goes past the city to see whether they approve of it. So.
I'm just confirming, I think it's 75% of all of the owners along the entire street. So it can't just be a portion.
Supermajority.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Commissioner DeVoynes?
Thank you. One question I had. I'm taking that to put out for that paragraph E, tempo 1. It says that no two streets in the Skagit County can be the same. Which surprisingly, I can see no two streets in the city being the same. It surprises me that no two streets in the county can be the same because there are different zip codes. Now my question is, A, do we have a way to enforce that? do we know what, we have a database that has street name of every county, so if someone submits a petition to change, we can look up whether or not there's another street in the whole county with that name.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So Skagit 911 has that database. Currently, right now, with addressing, we need planning department approval, 911 center approval, and fire department approval. And so that requirement that street names can't be duplicative of any other names in the county is a 911 policy, because the whole county uses the same Skagit 911 center. And so they have the database of road names, and so they will be the person to enforce that, to make sure that we're not duplicating any street names. And that's unfortunately not something that we could change. That is a policy at the county, and so that's a county-wide requirement.
Okay, thank you. And on the pronunciations, I understand the reason behind it. The only thing I wonder is, I know that sometimes the mayor names streets after a person. So if the person has a last name that's hard to pronounce, like my last name, that means the mayor cannot name that street after that person. Just
Yeah.
a comment.
No, that's a good point. I think the intent for that requirement is public safety. So if for whatever reason a name comes up, we would probably want to look at some alternatives if it's particularly difficult to spell, just because public safety is the first priority with this code update. Nicole says a good nickname might work.
I also wanted to ask you about that because I know some cities do dual names, like Leavenworth, for example, has German name, and then, like, I can't remember if it's a street number or another name under it. And the only reason I bring it up is because Native American names any words are incredibly difficult even to spell, let alone pronounced, because I've worked in the community, which kind of immediately prohibits any streets from being named after Native Americans or Upper Skagit or whatever. And so my concern is that, is there any process for like doing a dual name like Leavenworth does, where it can have both the name in Lachute and then underneath a name in English that the police department and the city can use to do the things?
Yeah, I know the Upper Skagit tribe, within the reservation limits, they do that. Just because Sedro-Woolley Fire sometimes has to go serve the Upper Skagit tribe, and it just helps with navigating up there. So
I
definitely something to look
just want to
into.
make sure we're not precluding any streets from having actual Native American names in town. I don't know that it's going to happen ever, but it shouldn't be prohibited just because they're hard to pronounce, as long as we have something that fire and police can operate with.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
I have some comments. In methods of assigning addresses, 15.24.025I notes that there may be more than one address assigned to a legal parcel of land. When, say, someone is building an ADU in their backyard, typically you would have the same address, number 1, right? Do they have the option to give it its own separate address?
So that's kind of what this code update gets to. The county address authority said that, homeowners and renters alike both prefer having their own number. Makes it easier for the post office. It makes it easier for them. And so with this code update, we would allow and probably prefer ADUs to be addressed that way.
Okay.
Can I just make a point here? ADUs are a big deal. So basically, we're taking properties, and now you could condominiumize them where they will have a separate address. So the state required now us, regardless of what our ADU code was 3 years ago, has now been modified. So I can have a single family property that can now be a duplex or a quad, now have potentially 2 additional units into it. So with that, We need an addressing scheme that my first responders know exactly where it is. It's not 1005 Rita Street. It might be 1005 whatever, okay, that they know exactly where it's at. When we're talking about ADUs, depending on the property configuration itself, how do we know where to go? So we're having this discussion right now. Okay, and let's keep this as an open discussion, but we need to be very accurate in how we define and address and how my first responders or anybody else can get from point A to point B. Thank you.
Is there a big enough gap between each address to put more addresses in between them, or do you have to have .3 and .5 and half? I think I remember when I was a paper boy seeing an address with half at the end.
Yeah.
Yes, those still exist even in Sedro-Woolley. They are a big pain for permitting, for mail, for public safety, for all of it. A half address under this code would be prohibited, so we would not allow that in Sedro-Woolley. The alternative, if there was absolutely no more room on the block, would be to start doing sub-addresses, building A, unit A, space A, whatever makes the most sense in that area. But with this address code, we would allow 50 numbers on each side of the block. Most blocks in Sedro-Woolley don't have 50 lots on them, so there should be plenty enough space for every lot to get its own number. But I have seen, half addresses before. That's definitely something we want to avoid.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I felt they dealt with that back in the last revision because we had a property on Haines Street and it was 210 A, B, and C, and they changed them to, in fact, I think they've changed every unit I have in town, but they changed 210 A, B, and C to 202, 206, and 210 Haines, so there's even still more holes in it to add stuff as needed. So.
Yeah, about a year ago, we had a property where the address, and this is a different number, I'm changing the address, was, 412, 412 and a half, and then 412B, all in the same building.
Yeah.
It was very difficult to figure out what was what.
Yikes.
We need to figure it out. It needs to be correct. My first responders, if they're coming to a place, they need to know where to go. That's my only point here right now. And we have time to figure this out, but let's get it right the first time.
Anyone else?
I had a few more. Let's see, what section is this? It might be under the same section. Yeah, so the same section, letter E. On a corner lot, the address number shall face the street named in the address. Should there be a provision in there to note, if it's a corner lot and you have, say, your corner lot is accessed on the street it's addressed on by, with the driveway, the garage, but your front door is on that corner street, maybe we should make a note that they're going to require an address for both sides on a corner lot.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Agree.
I'm not sure I follow that. So if you have a corner lot and your driveway's on one street and your front door's on the other, you still have just one address.
You just have one address, but two plates required, right? Entrance-wise.
Yeah, and sometimes when you have a corner lot where your driveway accesses differently than the front door, it can be difficult to determine what the lot should be addressed off of anyways. And we have a section in there that gives the city discretion to choose on a case-by-case basis, and 1524-025 G1.
Just out of curiosity, for the existing non-conforming addresses that have no legal basis, this is 1524 035B. Do you guys have like a list of those, and then you're gonna have to go like send them notices that their address is gonna get updated?
We don't have a list. I've only ran into that once, and it was that past example that I had. The 412.5 just seemed to come from nowhere, and so that's kind of what that was referencing to.
Okay, so if it comes across your desk, then you're like, oh, we need to update this.
Yeah. Usually, sometimes if we get a mystery address, it is on a deed, and so in that case, we will, try to accommodate what the deed shows. But if there's nothing, then we can't really go off of that.
Yeah, and so, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I got one more that I was a little bit confused about. Which section is this? 15.24.040 E6. It says short lanes in cul-de-sac shall not be named unless it provides primary access to at least 5 lots or at least 9 individual lots. My assumption would be those 5 lots would be individual lots already. So then that one kind of threw me off.
Yeah, no, good question. So that one, it says 5 lots or at least 9 individual units. I'm thinking
Oh,
if
individual
there's
units.
like an apartment
I
complex.
read that wrong. Yep, that makes sense.
You don't want to name them?
Both engineering and fire have expressed that they prefer not to name those shorter sort of stub or dead-end roads.
Okay.
Seems like a good opportunity to use circle.
Yeah. And an answer to part of her comment about the about address changes, having been through it 4 times, you get a nice little note from the city saying that your address has been changed and that they've already changed it with at least when they did mine, they had already changed it with the county auditor's office or I'm not sure which one it is, assessor's office, whatever. And that then they give you a nice little list of the first 10 people that you have to inform about your address change, aside from the other 200 you have to change in your, who send you Christmas cards and that kind of stuff. But they do send you a little one-page sheet on how to do it. And
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We try to give people more time now than we did in the past.
I don't have any, I'm not upset about it, but every address that I've lived at in my life in Sedro-Woolley has had at least 2 address changes, and some of them, the one that I live in now has had 4 address changes in my lifetime, and the others have had 2, so.
I'm not surprised all of the old address maps are at my desk.
Yes.
I see all the versions.
Yeah.
Is that normal? To have that many changes in one lifetime?
I think maybe because we used to be 2 different cities that merged, at some point we had to consolidate, but I would imagine just the one address overhaul would have been needed.
I don't think it happens to most people, but I mean, our progression was we live on North Township Street, and so originally it was Route 2, Box 23A, and then it was Route 4, Box 23A, and then it was 1109 North Township Street, and now it's, and then it changed, yeah, and then they put a street in, and we were on the street change, so we became 1011 Alderwood Lane, all living in the same house. Yeah, so.
Wow.
But it was much easier back then to change than it is nowadays, so.
I don't have any more comments.
Commissioner DeVoynes?
Maybe they're minor, but on the street surfaces, when the street goes north-south, avenue east-west, I didn't know that for Sedro-Woolley, that everywhere.
Yes, streets are everywhere. This is actually pulled from the Public Works Department standards. Pretty much that I-1 through I-6 or 7 was what we have to work off of in the Public Works Department standards. So trying to keep some consistency with what we did in the past. That's pretty much why streets travel north and south.
I didn't know that.
And that's different between Cedro and Woolley. Sedro-Woolley is the avenues and streets, and Sedro was names one way and numbers the other way. And so that division, State Street is the division between those two systems, and yeah, so it gets crazy. Fun town.
I love all your historical commentary.
No?
So I like, thank you.
It's great having a historian on the
Yeah.
committee.
Hello, my hand's raised.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Commissioner Fatisi.
Just saying. So addresses are big deals for a whole lot of different reasons, not just my first responders, but just even from a titling standpoint of who owns what. And now that the state is basically pretty much overrode what we did 3 years ago with our ADU code, and they're going to change a whole different thing using condominium codes, okay, to who has ownership of what particular piece of land, how banks are going to look at that, how a city's going to look at that. I'm just saying that before we start changing anything right now, it's like, this is a great discussion to have, okay? And let's just get it right from the beginning, because as Commissioner Huggins just said, his property address changed, what, Pat, 2 times already? Well, guess what? Well, that's got to reflect bank code. That's got to reflect a whole bunch of different things, right? So all of a sudden, well, your bank, guess what, has a mortgage on this particular property. Now, all of a sudden, well, the state came in and said, well, gee, you can now split it up and make it 2 additional units on ADUs or whatever. All I'm saying is these are really, really big deals that before we really do anything, as we now have just got our comp plan done, excellent work, okay? But now we're going into 2026. I believe we got our 2025 comp plan right, okay? When we move into 2026, let's use the exact same thing that we've all been trained on to get this correct as well. Because again, we're not the decision makers. This goes up to elected officials, to mayor and council, okay? And I want to make sure that our body, yeah, we're in the weeds, and we're going to get it correct. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about changing addresses or anything like that, no. Let's just sit back and make sure that I don't want just a little sign off on people. I want them present at my meetings to say, okay, what else, what did we potentially miss, and how do we get it right? Thank you.
How does the assessor's office find out about changes? They just catch up sooner or later?
Now,
So when we get approval from 911 and the fire department, that's when I send out the approved notice of address change. It goes to the post office as well as the assessor's office.
I see.
So they get notified immediately whenever an address changes. When new structures go up, though, the permit technician sends a monthly report. That way that they're up to date with all the improvements that are going on in town.
Okay.
So it sounds like you guys have done your due diligence with working with all the different municipalities. What kind of, I'm just thinking from a, right sizing the process, is there documents that you can produce for the planning commission that would try to help reassure, that they've signed off on them? I'm just trying to think, like the fire chief, the police chief, the planning department, filling the room with, some higher paid civil employees, I don't know if that's the most cost-effective way forward.
Yeah, so I'd be happy to present sort of, what the process looks like now, because right now I don't change any addresses without 911 and fire approval. So I could, bring in an example notice of address change and sort of outline how that process works, because that's really what this is codifying. Yeah, I mean, I could also, present fire departments and engineering's comments on what they had to say, but it was pretty minimal. It was a lot of just correcting some typos, correcting fire marshal to say fire chief, some stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I can definitely send an email out to Dan, our chief of police, and to our fire chiefs as well, to see if they, have any other insight.
Yeah, I think that would, I'm just trying to scratch Joe's itch up there and it just doesn't seem, I don't know, to me, like getting that many, that group of people, that list of names, in a planning commission meeting, I don't know if that's actually gonna happen.
Yeah, that might not be practical, but
They can Zoom it just like I do right now. It's important. This is a big deal, right? I want to say addresses as to, how you're going from point A to point B. I hear my first responders going off all the time in my little apartment here. I just want to make sure that we get it right. That's all. There's nothing other than the fact that, not only do I want their input, but they're going to be dealing with stuff that we can't even figure out sometimes. And I want to hear what they have to say. Before they sign off on it, it's like, okay, we just want to make sure that we did our due diligence, that we got it right. That's all.
So if you had to pick one person to come in and give you that reassurance, who would it be? Probably the fire marshal?
Both fire and police, both of them.
Yeah,
You
I
bet.
think we already did hear from the fire department, right? So it's just, we could double check with police if they have any comments. And
I
then we
just
can
like
provide-
seeing those guys. I just like seeing those guys, and they're
Yeah.
all in.
Yeah,
You bet.
we can't make them come to a meeting, but we could
They
certainly
enjoy
invite
coming.
them. But I think it would be, to your point, would be more practical if we could just summarize the comments that they did provide to us, and we'd be happy to share that with you guys.
Yeah, I spoke to over the phone about it with the fire chief, and then the assistant fire chief gave me comments in written form. They were supportive of this. I definitely want to get police's opinion on it as well, although police tends to, side with fire on these types of things. I don't imagine much pushback, but it's always worth asking, checking all the boxes. But yeah, I do think showing sort of a mock notice of address change, sort of what the process is from the notification that we need to change it all the way to when it becomes official would probably be helpful, because it seems like sort of a daunting thing, but it really shouldn't be that scary of a process, and the city is sort of here to help, the homeowner and the renter out when that sort of thing happens.
Yeah, we like seeing these guys. They're good people.
I do like the caution of a slow roll on this. We have more and more people working from home, licensing, government contractors. It seems like the change of an address, even though the physical location hasn't changed, may be a little more complex than a one-page sheet for some. Yeah. Thank you.
That is a good point, because like I have a hybrid work agreement, so if my address changed, then I would need to notify my employer to update my work agreement.
Well, and my husband is a contractor for the Pentagon, and nipper access and things like that don't change overnight, so we would appreciate a little notice. Thank you.
Any more comments? We covered everything? Well, if there's nothing further on addresses, that is, we'll end that at 7:28, move on to the next new business, which is election of 2026 Planning Commission officers. So, anybody want to get us started on what we're doing? we ask for nominations for one office or the other first?
People need to speak up right now.
So yeah, it'll start with a nomination. Anyone can make a nomination. I'll ask that you don't nominate yourself unless we hear crickets. But yeah, we could start with the chair and then the vice chair afterwards.
Okay. So the nominations are now open for chairman for 2026. Do I hear any nominations for chairman?
Are you open to doing it again in 2026? Because I think you're doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence. I'd be honored to. I like doing it, but I want to do what's best for the team, and I'd be happy to sit anywhere else. So I'll do what the team wants to do.
So with that, you know, I've always taken a position that we have a really deep bench. So I would like to see another commissioner outside of myself, Joe or Pat, step up to the plate here. And I can think of a couple people right now, and somebody needs to nominate someone right now that's not me, Joe, or Pat. Just saying. No, we got massive talent here.
We
so
do.
with that,
I'm not the best at hearing that speaker up there. Did he nominate somebody?
No.
Okay. But you would like to nominate someone?
correct. I think somebody else should nominate someone outside of me, you, or Pat.
Okay.
Correct.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not in the running for the
Not in the
position, yeah. And also, I would nominate you to do it again, if you're interested in doing it again. But I agree with Mr. Fatisi that it is good periodically to, maybe the next time to, just my point of view, but I nominate you, but I think would be good if we got somebody else to either be the pro tem or do it next time.
Okay, no, I nominate Commissioner Jasper.
it doesn't need a second, but I was going to say that too, Commissioner Fatisi, Commissioner Jasper.
I nominate Commissioner Jasper.
There you go. Now we have two. Two on the table.
And how do you feel about that?
Okay, so
lady?
hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we had a nomination on the table from Pat Huggins for Joe Frenette to
yes.
take on the chair. So we need to do a majority vote on that.
Oh, we
If
do.
that doesn't go forward, we can move on to either vice chair, or we can't
Okay.
have two nominations at the same time.
Okay, so
We
you
need to
don't,
vote.
you don't get a bunch of nominations first and then vote?
You guys discussed among yourselves, but it's weird to have two nominations going on at the same.
No. I nominated my commissioner, Ms. Jasper, for Planning Commission Chair.
Right.
It's still unresolved right now is who's going to be the co-chair. Where last year I was the
I didn't understand
co-chair.
We have two nominations.
Go ahead.
One for Joe to continue, and another one for
Commissioner
Commissioner
Jasper.
Jasper.
Yeah.
So that's two. And as Nicole says, we need a vote on the first one before we move to the second one.
I'd like to hear from Jessica if she's open to it
Yeah,
before
there you go.
voting.
Yes.
Right, yeah, that's what matters. Yeah, you got-
I greatly appreciate the nomination. I would appreciate the opportunity to be a vice chair and to study, since I've only been on the commission for about a year and a half now. I'd like a way to have the opportunity to be a vice chair for a year and then be considered for chair next year. But thank you for the nomination. I appreciate that.
Okay, but let me throw this out there. There has never been in the history of the city of Sedro-Woolley that I have a female combat veteran, okay, that not only put her, everything in the mix here, that you really give a rip about this community, but you got the experience too, as to how you can manage different, sometimes, complicated stuff, but it really kind of isn't at the end of the day. So that's why I nominated you. And yeah, so absolutely, I'm hearing you right now. If you want to go for co-chair, that's fine. And of course, I'm always going to support Mr. Frenette. I'm going to support everybody here. But I just want you to know one thing. Why I nominated you? Yeah, you rock it. Absolutely. Very much so. So, anyway, let's
Okay,
continue on.
so I was under the impression you got as many nominations as you could, but you're saying just take the one
Take it one at a
nomination.
time.
Yeah, so we've heard from Commissioner Jasper, she would like to
Okay,
take on the vice chair position, if anything. So I think we can move forward with the vote for the chair position. That's
I
your
make a
nomination.
motion to appoint Joseph Burnett as the planning commissioner for the 2026 season. And my motion also is to nominate planning commissioner Jasper for the pro chair position.
okay. I understand Commissioner Fatisi nominates Commissioner Fournette for 2026 chair and Commissioner Jasper for vice chair. Do I ask for a second on that? A second on that?
I second that.
Commissioner Bowman seconds that. All in favor of Commissioner Fournette as chairman, Commissioner Jasper as co-chairman, say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Okay, I guess it's unanimous. Thank you, and sorry for the agony, but congratulations.
Congratulations to you.
There's-
And
there's no-
I wanted to say that I've nominated her because she's always the first one here, and I wasn't here early enough to see if you were the first one here, but I bet you were, because she always wants to do things right, and you're plugged into the community like Commissioner Fatisi was saying, so thank you. And I'll be very comfortable if I can't make a meeting that everyone will just be right behind you to take care of business, and congratulations. And, okay, thank you, everyone. It's 7:35, and,
Make a motion to adjourn.
okay, a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Fatisi. Do I
Why
have a
is it
second?
everybody always lets me make the motion to adjourn?
Okay, I'll
I
look
think
somewhere
that's
else.
the only thing I
Well,
ever
make it-
make motions on anymore. Yeah, I make a motion that we.
Commissioner Huggins seconds adjournment. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:35.
Congratulations, everybody.